Well, I don't know about you, but I'm totally overwhelmed after listening to how the world's changing. I almost want to take a shot of tequila before the next session. But I've got a very brief talk for you this morning that hopefully we'll have plenty of time for a Q&A afterwards. And it's really just about my journey. And I think we heard all this digital revolution and it can be really intimidating. But I just want to share with you my adventure of building a company that kind of disrupted a little bit of the social networking space. And that was my story as a head of talent at LinkedIn for 4 years, from 2009 through 2012. So just a little bit about myself, if you haven't had a chance to look at my profile. I basically spent about 20 years of my career in Silicon Valley working in the talent sector. And that's helping organizations grow and develop and compete. And was contributing sort of at the tip of the spear of a lot of organizations that are changing the world, both at Cisco Systems and networking and the video game business, which was fun because you can play video games guilt-free without your wife feeling like, hey, what are you doing spending time playing video games? It's marketing research, honey. It's okay. But I learned a lot going through that adventure, and I want to share some of those stories with you because I'm sure what I want all of you thinking about today and what you're probably asking yourselves is, so what does this mean to me? How does my life change? Okay, I can see all these fancy companies doing all these really interesting things, and I see all these robots and so forth, but how do I translate that down into my day-to-day reality? Because I think one of the lessons I want to leave you with, and I'll sort of skip to the end of the punchline here, is that in a digital world, I think what wins is more human interaction, more face-to-face, less time on mobile, and more working together solving problems. And I think some of the times that we forget that this whole wave of social networking is really helping us be more personal in our interactions with people. So at LinkedIn, one of the things that we try to help recruiters understand is if you use our tool, we don't want you to send more emails to find more candidates. We want you to use our technology to understand candidates better and have a richer interface. That's the power that you have. The other thing is that we were paving a new path, that there was no real template, if you will, for how we could succeed. So I can resonate with some of the things that you guys are going through, like, well, how are we going to do this? I'm hearing get more digital. What does that really mean for me? How are we going to compete when I don't even know where my competition's coming from? And I can resonate with that because when we thought about our business, you know who we were really worried about? We were worried that Facebook was going to wake up and say, we should be Workbook. We'll be relevant for professionals, not just teenagers spending time checking out what's going on with their friends. We were worried that Google was going to want to build a professional network, and they could because they had millions of users. We were worried that Salesforce was going to come up with a way to use Chatter that was going to compete with us. The unbelievable intensity of competitive pressure forced us to have to find our own way. And there wasn't a map. Beyond that, one of the really interesting things that I think that I want to impart on you guys is that not a single member of our leadership team had ever done what we were about to do. Our CEO, first-time CEO. He came right from Yahoo. He was at Warner Brothers, went to Yahoo, came to LinkedIn. All he knew from his career of leadership lessons and how to manage was what he didn't want to do. He wasn't sure how he wanted to lead or how we're going to grow the organization. Our CFO, our head of legal, head of marketing, head of product, engineering, operations, human resources, none of us had ever really worked in a private company and taken it public before and grown it at scale. And all of us were managing more people than we'd ever managed before as we grew the organization. And yet we became, by many accounts, a world-class, high-performing organization. So lesson number 2 that I want to impart on you is you don't have to have done something before to do it really, really great. And in fact, sometimes I think that's an asset to have, that you've never been down a path before, because you don't know what you shouldn't be doing. But we said, you know what, that's our challenge. And we believe in our destiny as an organization, and we want to do something great. So the first thing that we did was we maniacally focused on building a special place. That's the only thing that I could control. I can't control how much money we're making. I can't control a whole bunch of things out in the market. I can't control what my competitors are doing, but I can control my environment. And we focused like crazy on trying to build the best company that our employees had ever worked for. That was the one thing that our executive team agreed upon more than anything else. You're going to come to LinkedIn, you're going to have the best career experience that you've ever had. And you know what we did to try to realize that? Something that I'd never seen in any organization I worked for before. That was the number one goal for everybody. Build a world-class team. It was above making money. It was above innovative products. It was above operational objectives. We need to hire people in here, because if we don't, we're dead. He goes, whoa, 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 no, that's okay. I'll submit to the background check. I went, oh, phew, passed that test. A little crazy story, but when you're growing fast and you don't have time to lay all the infrastructure that you need, crazy stuff like that starts happening. But the most dramatic thing that happened the day he visited was the chest puffed up of our employees. They started to feel more pride in the organization. And you know what happened to our member base? Our number of new members doubled the day after the visit of the president. Orders from customers that we'd invited, and yes, we did save about 50 spots for key customers to sit in the front row, those orders doubled. Wow, this company, this service provider's got connections to the White House. What people didn't know was one of the amazing things that we had in our arsenal. When you take a look, like, what assets do you have to compete against incredible companies that are hiring amazing people? Well, we had an asset of unbelievable data around what people are doing with work and the paths they're taking and the decisions they're making. And one organization that we worked with was the Veterans Administration, the White House. And one of the things they were trying to solve for was, how do we get veterans deployed in the workforce when they finish their service? And we said, we know exactly where they're going, because we've got it on LinkedIn. We can tell you where 50,000 recent veterans who went into the workforce, where they went. And we can also show you what skills they updated in their profile in the year after they left the armed services that might want to inform what you want to start developing for them before they hit the workforce, so they can hit with a greater ramp. The White House is like, we love you guys. We love you guys. And that's the kind of asset that we had. So then we started telling our employees these stories like, do you guys know how we're helping veterans find jobs? Do you know we're helping? And not just that, our employees wanted to help the veterans update their profiles to find work. Now we started tapping into something really exciting, which was we were helping people change their lives. Our mission for members is to help them find their dream jobs, to help them meet new people, or maybe see a new career opportunity that they never saw before. Wait a second, isn't that what we want for our own employees? To come to LinkedIn, to find their dream job, to do something that they never thought they could do before. And that got even more incredible when we realized how easy it was for people to get our culture. I'm starting to spit now. I'm sorry, you guys in the front row. I'm getting so excited. These lights are giving away one of my problems, spitting too much. But when we started to realize this unbelievable synergy between what our business was intended to do, help people find their dream jobs, help them grow and develop. And that's the same thing that we wanted to do for our employees, help them find their dream jobs here. And that was, as I said earlier, that was the one thing we agreed upon as a leadership team. We disagreed about so many things, not that one. We want this to be the most amazing place you've ever been before and have some unbelievable experiences. And so here's one of the assets that I challenge you to think about and digest. One of the things that allowed me to compete was not only this transformative promise for people. I'm telling you, employee after employee after employee took much less money. It wasn't about the money, it was about the mission. Do you want to make a difference? That asset became so valuable for me as we grew this organization. And one of the things that really helped us when we're smaller, and back to me challenging you guys to think about this, is the greatest thing I could offer people against the big companies around me was that they could come in and shape the culture. Not come in and read the tablets and follow us, you have to be like us, you have to be like this. Say, no, 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 we're going to build it here. So my challenge for you guys is, I just heard Chris give you guys a trump card of let's do something special. Don't know what it really looks like. Does anybody? But I know we can do it. And even though you guys have been around a while, you've got the chance to build something special. That's what my candidates loved. That's what my employees loved. That's why they stayed. We're going to make this the company you want. I walked into LinkedIn the very first week. Reid Hoffman, our chairman, said something to me. I asked him, I said, Reid, I'm the new HR guy. You've never had one before. You know, what's important to you? He said, culture's important to me. I go, oh, great. Tell me what kind of culture you want, man. I'm on it. I will make it happen. That's why you got me. I'm Mr. Versatile. I can fit in everywhere. Grew up in South Africa. I've dealt the fashion industry. I can figure it out. He's like, I want you to make it the culture that you want it to be. I said, what? Yeah. And I want you to bring people in to want to make this the company they want it to be. I go, well, aren't we going to get into some bun fights here? Aren't people going to see it differently? No, I think there's virtuousness when people want to work in a place that is like them, that is going to allow them to do the things that they want to do in the ways that they want to do it. Freaked me out because it was kind of an iterative challenge that he was putting in front of me. And this is a thing about working in the web business. How we developed was very much how you just heard the keynote speaker talking about, which is trial and error. Try this, try that, try this, try that. Do members like this new feature? No. Okay, let's try it here. Hey, wow, members like it in Norway, but they don't really like it in Brazil. Let's try this, let's try that, let's try this. That bled into how we led the organization. Well, let's try this way of communicating. Let's try this way of dealing with compensation. Hey, does this bonus program work? Okay, let's change it. Let's try this one. Does that work? Then we would go and ask people. Like, I'd never done that before with a compensation plan. Usually it was 3 months, hire a consultant, do some analysis, present to the exec team. Yeah, good. Okay, let's go, let's implement. And 6 months or a year later, let's check in how it's going. I would present an idea to our CEO, Jeff, and I go, hey, I think we should try doing something like this. He goes, yeah, why don't you go try that in the engineering organization for a couple of months, see if they like it. Go talk to a few people, see if they want to try that. Okay, really? All right, give it a try. It was very, very different. And that's, sort of lesson number 3 here, is this, I think, in this digital age, how you win is how fast you can iterate and try new stuff. This is not the age of a 5-year plan making any sense. Thank you very much. Oh, great. Yeah, great question. Culture. One of the craziest things about culture is that everyone here, when we hear the word culture, we think of something different, right? It's really hard to drive in. What he said was, how did the culture change and did it change? And absolutely it changed. And I think this is one of the interesting things is, in this era of transparency and fast change and growth, I don't think you can control a culture. And by the way, if you try to control a culture, you will lose. I think what you need to try to find is almost the essence of who you are and find some real pillars that people can start organizing, like, who are we and what are we about? And that's how we looked at culture. It was basically, what company do we want to be? And our answer to that was, we want to be the place where people have the best career experience they had in their life. Okay? Now, did that look differently in Australia, in China, in Japan? Yes, it did. And I think that's actually a good thing. And I look at culture as an organic thing. But what would happen was, we would have more, what we would try to do is showcase in our all-hands meetings every other week some really great innovative thinking and some impact that people had, whether it was in the community, whether it was a new business product, whether it was an intern that we had for the summer who blew us away by building a brand new product set. We would show, this is who we are, and it evolved. It was kind of like this blurry canvas that got finer and finer as we had more people. But it did change. It still is changing. Yeah.